Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for November for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you a broad overview of what to expect, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in much greater detail all the ins and outgoings, particularly relevant to your sign. Just to say that as this month begins, there is a gathering of influence in your 12th house, the sign of Scorpio, which is deep and reflective and very psychological, but it does include a combination between the Sun and Venus. So I need to share the importance of that, particularly in terms of your connection and relationship to the closest people in your world. And there may even be some energies coming up that are very much linked to your past, even nostalgia. Jupiter, your ruler, is in retrograde through to the 23rd, but it is forging a very promising link to Pluto. I need to share about that. And then from the middle of the month, Venus and Mercury arrive in your sign, the Sun on the 22nd, the new moon on the 23rd, Venus and Mercury in exact conjunction also on the 23rd, and Jupiter ends its retrograde. So much exciting stuff to share with you, so please stay with me. If you would like to ascend above zodiac astrology and understand what year 2023 will hold for you personally, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data in terms of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your year 2023 forecast, plus also the rest of this year free if you order in 22, and also in my special package, your personal roadmap, your guide through your character analysis, which can help you to understand some of those repeating patterns that we all have in our lives, some very helpful, some more challenging. Get more intimate with those, and there's 30% off. Please see the link below. Finally, if you're new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you're an ongoing viewer, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your views. So Sagittarius, as you come into this month, that gathering of energy in the 12th house is reflective. It's asking you to pause. Now, you're a sign that is very enterprising. You galvanize yourself to get back on the front foot even when there are setbacks in your life. But since 2012 and Neptune has been in your 4th house, I think that's been much more difficult to do. So I think in the start of this month and potentially through the next 6 months, it is going to be important to stay mindful of your inner world, the deeper part of your nature. You know, you are a very philosophical person, but that can apply to your spiritual dimension as much as your ideals and the way you have an immense ability to absorb knowledge. So I think that at the start of this month, you may be feeling very nostalgic with Venus so close to the Sun. It may be for people who are no longer with us. It may be about a relationship. Maybe a relationship is not quite working as you want, and I think there can be a lot of soul searching at the start of this month. But also for some archers, there could be a connection that starts to develop that actually is quite low key, or at least confidential to begin with. Yes, a clandestine relationship is possible for some people. But Mars, the planet of passion, is in your sector of relating, but it is in retrograde and it is compromised by Neptune. So even if you are forming up your ideas around relationships, Neptune does have the potential to distort. And if you do find yourself asserting your boundaries, for example, it's important that you're really clear on why you would be doing that. And the way you go about doing it needs to be just so as well. Which brings us to on the 8th, the total lunar eclipse. And also in week 2 of this month, the Sun moves into, along with its conjunction with Mercury on the lunar eclipse, it moves into connecting to that ongoing rather abrasive right angle between Saturn and Uranus, which has been causing a lot of stress for a lot of us over the last couple of years, but particularly I feel for you. And the reason for that, I feel, Sagittarius, is that Uranus has been pushing you to revolutionize your everyday world. Even the practical elements of our existence can benefit if we embrace new ways of doing things, novel technologies, or perhaps creating more space for ourselves. But because Saturn's been in your third house of how you think and how you interact with others, if there have been tensions, and I think it's been difficult to avoid them with this particular aspect, between your need to express your opinion but also fit into some kind of everyday regular structure, that all feeds into and informs this particular total lunar eclipse. And put in a nutshell, I think over the next 6 months it's going to be vitally important that you do align your practical everyday and physical world with the more spiritual, emotional and psychological part of your nature. And because you do have this tremendous ability to be positive and bubbly and enthusiastic and see the big picture and bounce back from those setbacks, that is such a strength, but it can lead to bits and pieces of accumulated emotion building up, which is not necessarily resolved. And I think this can have an impact on vitality, on emotional health, on levels of stress and cortisol, and that's what this particular event is about for you. It's finding ways to get a better alignment, and that may mean embracing some of the sides of life that you may not necessarily readily be so interested in. Anything to do with vulnerability or fear or loss, grief, and the need for quiet reflection rather than a stimulated interaction. So if you're someone who's very open to all of those, I think you're much more likely to negotiate this total lunar eclipse in a really positive way. If you're someone who is very much in the physical world and absolutely entrenched in the determination to always overcome things through will alone, I think that you may find that life and events pushes you to take a closer look at that inner world. But by the 16th and the 17th, Venus arrives in your sign, and if there has been some deep soul searching around a relationship matter, this can be a new beginning. It may mean that someone's made way in your world, but it can also mean that a relationship that you have been worried about now moves more into the present. You've resolved some of those concerns and you're feeling much more dynamic. Also Mercury moving into your sign on the 17th, the day after. A technical debilitation, but for me Mercury in Sagittarius is one of the weakest of all of them. So I feel that this gives you a chance to start to bring your ideas into motion. If you've been thinking carefully or been doing some research behind the scenes or taking soundings from people you trust, now you can move much more into action mode. This is going to be emphasised furthermore on the 22nd when the Sun moves into your sign. Your physical vitality will increase. Your natural enthusiasm is going to be flowing in. Also the new moon on the 23rd sees Venus and Mercury in an exact conjunction. I can't tell you how quick-witted, playful, vivacious this combination is. It gives you so much ability to draw new things to you. And if you are wanting to get anything fresh off the ground, you can do so with a tremendous amount of excitement and drive, which can really impress others. But also Jupiter your ruler ends its retrograde on that day. But Jupiter does forge a very positive link with Pluto all through this month. Pluto is about transformation. For sure, it can be about criminality, it can be about power, it can be about sex, it can be about truth in a weird kind of way. but it for you is in your sector of everyday money, whereas Jupiter, despite its retrograde, is in your sector of the home. And despite Neptune being a confusing influence, as it has in recent years, Jupiter in the fourth house of your chart is really positive because it's the traditional ruler of the sign of Pisces along with your sign. So what you're going to have, if you're very ordered in accepting that maybe some things need to be reorganized in your world, and then you're moving into a period of initiation and bright beginnings, which can really happen in the second half of this month. I think it could be your home which is getting reordered in a way which is really exciting for you. So what a month. I definitely think the square between Mars and Neptune requires some care, because some of the things you could be told in a relationship situation, particularly if it does feel that the tie is really on its period of close examination, let's put it this way. If you're really scrutinizing whether it's something for the future or not, what you're told or what you think someone is saying can in very subtle ways be distorted by Neptune. So even your desire to be, on the front foot, set boundaries, be clear, discuss some tender matters with someone, even if it appears it's all going to plan, that is a tricky influence. But your desire to create your own reality is going to increase enormously in the second half of this month. And if you are single, I think you're going to be sparkling so magnificently. Expect a lot of attention, whether it's socially or in a romantic dimension, in the second half of this month.